right, Cecilia, so let's start with the basics. Let's talk about the most common financial scams that you see in recent years.
So I would have to say right now, it's a lot of what's called phishing, vishing, and smishing. So phishing would be a scam through your email, where they're sending you an email telling you that you won something, or you got notice of an alert for something that you just click on this link and everything will be updated. Maybe it's your Netflix password isn't working. Same thing with smishing, which is through text message. So you'll get things like, I got Netflix, or you have a something at the postal, coming through, click on the link, and we'll send you or let you know what it is. And then phishing is gonna be through phone calls. So kind of like what Joel was saying, when you sign up for something, you're giving them that ability to then sell your information. So some places will sell your email, will sell your phone number. So you have to be very careful where you're putting that information out. So my biggest thing I can tell you with these scams is never click on the links, go to the source. So I just recently got one from PayPal telling me that they authorized my payment for $700. And I was like, I haven't looked at my PayPal in a long time, so I don't know what that is. So I went to PayPal, and instead of going to that link, I just completely ignored it, contacted PayPal, they said that was not them, so I deleted it. You never wanna click on that link. Clicking on that link is gonna open up a lot more of the scams to your device, whether it's your email or your phone. So really just avoiding that, and they are everywhere. The credit union receives, just the credit union alone probably receives well over 300 attempts a day at phishing scams. So being aware that they are out there, kind of one of the things that Joel said too is that this is their job, and they are very, very good at their job. So scamming you is something they are gonna work really hard on trying to make sure that they are able to do. So those are the top ones right now that I would say that are out there.
So in the last couple of years, we've had so many crazy things that have happened in the last couple of years between COVID and even these whole new horizons, such as like cryptocurrency. Have you heard of anything that's more specific to kind of the more modern things that have been going on?
Yeah, so there's a lot of fake sites that are being created. So within these fake sites, you think you're shopping, you think you are dealing with cryptocurrency or doing an exchange, and what it is it's not a real app, it's not a real site. You're then putting your information out there, thinking, oh, I'm gonna cash in on this, or I'm gonna be using crypto for this, and they're not legitimate.
Crypto?
That cryptocurrency is basically digital currency. So it's all currency that would be happening on the digital ring. So we could go into a whole nother session of cryptocurrency, but
Bitcoin is a big one.
yeah. So and there's several different types of cryptocurrency, but it's not federally regulated. So my biggest suggestion is I don't mess with it. I don't do anything with it. It goes up and down, and like I said, it's a whole nother area. In my opinion, I'm so old school. I'm like, no, I'm gonna keep it with what I know and what I understand, and that's just keeping my money in my financial institution and transferring it that way. But it's a virtual currency. But we do see a lot of fake sites. So the fake sites is what's happened since the pandemic of everyone staying home. It's really, really increased the fake, shop here, it's okay type of sites.
Yep, and so that kind of goes into question number 3. So this growth of online shopping, I found that, online shopping has truly been a godsend in a lot of different ways, and most certainly for many of you who are planning on aging in place, it can be a wonderful tool. Whether you're doing it yourself, or maybe you've got, one of your adult children or grandchildren who are happy to, do that shipped order for you or whatnot. I know even my in-laws who are completely old school, and don't even have, they only have one smartphone between them, found that using Shipped, the shopping service during COVID, was very, very helpful and comforting to them. So these can be great sites. But let's talk about that idea of some of the scams that are going on with online shopping, and then just kind of that emphasis too that anytime you're having someone come to your home, just like a contractor those same rules apply for safety and not inviting them in and things like that, so.
Yeah, no, definitely. So when you're looking at those sites, you want to do, there's a few things that you can do, which is create 2 separate emails. So if you're going to be using, going online and shopping, maybe you create a separate email for your online sites, because you will start to get quite a few. Another thing is verifying the HTTPS. So when you're looking at that email address, is there that HTTPS to make sure it is a legitimate site? I always say do your research, which is Google it. Like Joel was saying, you can't Google enough. It will tell you the stuff that they come up with, and everyone starts to put in there, what their experiences that they went through. Really, really look at those reviews, read up on it. If it's not something that you're familiar with, always do that research. You'll see ads on Facebook that will tell you, get the better deal on this, or this is, so much cheaper to do it this way. And we all want to find a better deal, right? Especially now. But you want to make sure it's legitimate. So make sure you're doing your research on it before you put any information in there. Once you put your card information in there, it's theirs for the taking. So you want to make sure that you're very particular with where you're putting your card information, that you're double checking it. I've even had some get those separate cards where it's like a gift card when they're making online purchases. So it's not connected to their account, but it's just connected to that gift card. Therefore, if it happens to be something, not correct or a fraud account, it's not going to get to your complete debit card and all of your savings and all of that. So just making sure that you're doing your research with any of those ship sites or anything that you're looking to do.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. And some of the things that I've heard of happening too, even on online sites where you're looking at ordering something and you may get something, it's just not what you thought you got. So, you may be looking at ordering, let's say a statue that, looks beautiful, and then all of a sudden what you really get is a model, So just crazy things like that where you want to truly know what you're getting from a reputable site. And so often sticking with those big sites, and even be careful of online reviews, because remember, when it comes to those Facebook purchases and things like that, they can buy all those likes. Those companies can buy all the likes that they want, and they can have a whole team of people filling out fake reviews in the background that you would see. So really that idea of that personal experience and going to people that you know and trust and companies that you know and trust is a huge thing. So the next question, it has to do with ID theft. So it's obviously something that we hear a lot about, and even different things like all the different programs that have been in place, the different stimulus programs that have come out. I have heard that has kind of added to some of the ID theft that has gone on. And sometimes it's even things that we can do as individuals that makes us more vulnerable to that. So Cecilia, can you talk a little bit about what are the safe practices that everyone should do to make sure that their personal items stay safe?
So one of the things that I'm going to recommend, and I hope everyone's doing, is just checking your credit report. So annualcreditreport.com. During the pandemic, they updated it where you can check weekly. And I do recommend that, especially if you are doing things online and you are having information out there. With the stimulus that we had going out there, there was a lot of fraudsters who keyed into that. And it was fill out this form, you'll get your check faster, or just provide us with a little bit of information, and they make it look legitimate. They send you those emails, they send you that information, and all they're doing is taking your identity. They're asking for your social security number, asking for key pieces. Also be careful what you're putting on social media. It's very alarming what people will put on social media that fraudsters will aim at. And one thing I always tell people is, do you really know everyone that is looking at your social media? So being aware of those things that you're posting, where you're posting it, how you're posting it. So really just keeping track of what you're doing with that. If you're selling things, maybe you're selling an old computer, make sure you're clearing out all the hardware from that computer, because there's so much information kept there. So maybe you're upgrading to something new, even a cellular device. Make sure you're clearing everything out of there before you're selling that. And it can really start to come at you when it's like, okay, wait a minute, I don't remember doing anything like this. So just monitoring that credit report as often as you possibly can, to be aware. So there's so much information that is out there that we're not even aware of. So making sure that you're monitoring that. And I know with social media, it's, is it the kids, is it the grandkids, who's, posting what? Are they sharing this picture? Are they sharing a location of where they're at taking it? You want to make sure that you're monitoring all that's going on. I know there are ways to put your social media where nothing can get posted if you're tagged in it. So if you have a grandkid come over and they're tagging, my grandparents just, got this new vehicle and they're putting a location, or they're, the address is in the background. Someone of their friends is now seeing all of that on their social media, and you didn't even realize that. So it opens it up to not just theft within, the internet, but also theft within the area that you're at. So you really have to be careful and cautious of all of that. But checking your credit report is definitely something I highly recommend doing it often.
And even things like posting that, hey, we're taking off for Florida for the next 3 months. Always make sure that you're thinking about those things and having people that are watching your home and checking up on your home, because same thing, those criminals are smart. They are watching for people to post certain things. Hey, look at the wonderful piece of art that my grandmother just bought at auction for $10,000.
Yeah.
You might not want to put that on Facebook. So.
No, you got to be really cautious of that, and that's a lot of things that the youth don't realize what they're doing. They might be putting us in some harm's way. So it's talking to them about it. When you go home, have that conversation and say, make sure you don't post those pictures of what we have or what we're doing or when we're doing it. Those vacation ones are key. They're very key. So it's making sure, because fraudsters that's what they do. They'll create a fake site to become your friend on social media, and there they are. And a lot of the youth will accept them thinking, oh yeah, I know who that is. And then they're tagging you in that picture, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, so just all of those things. Something I was thinking and I forgot it already. So, all right,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so we're gonna just save them till after Cecilia. So we got one more question, then we'll open it back up. But one of the most unfortunate scams that has also been increasing is really due to economic desperation and so forth, and exploitation by family members. So what I want to think about is, what are some safeguards, especially for seniors who are more vulnerable and maybe a little less independent, that we can watch out for and really be able to just know if someone is possibly being exploited by a family member, someone who poses as a friend or a neighbor, or someone who pretends to be helping those people. It could be a caregiver even, but somebody who might be paying bills for them or something. That is a critical area that really, really needs to be looked at.
I would say ask questions. So really just asking as many questions as you can with them. What is it that you're trying to do? Why are we doing it this way? We have safeguards set up at the financial institution to ask those questions when you're coming in with somebody new, making sure that everything within that transaction is going to be what you're doing and that you understand why we're doing that. But the more questions that you can ask, the better. I know this is something my father did with me, and it was, why are we going here? What are we doing there? And who are we coming to see? And even though he knew I took care of him for so many years, he asked them all the time. So, and that's such a great thing to do, is continue to find those questions. There are areas, again, within the financial institution, if you tell them something doesn't seem right, that we will kind of go behind the scenes and try to do more investigating for you, looking at the account, who is the beneficiary, who is the caregiver that we can contact, and make sure you're letting somebody know. So talk to other family members about it. Make sure that other family member knows that someone else is helping you with those things, especially when it comes to your finances. You worked so hard all these years for that, for your money and for your savings and for what you have. You don't want someone to come in and take it. So really just asking the questions, being aware of someone new and telling others that they're coming to help you out with those things.
Yeah, just think of that idea of the system of checks and balances. So if you've got somebody that's helping pay your bills, that's awesome. Make sure you might have another professional that is also looking at those records periodically, just to make sure that everything's on the up and up. So hopefully all those people are doing their jobs the way that they should be, but never a bad thing to have oversight to those systems. The one thing I was gonna think of is just most of the time, agencies will never reach out to you for personal information via a call or text, ever. So whether it's the Social Security agency, your bank, virtually anyone, they are not gonna reach out to you and say, oh, Mrs. Smith, I just wanted to verify your bank account, can you tell me what number you have, or whatever. Never volunteer, anytime you've got a call like that, just like what Cecilia was saying, earlier, just go ahead and hang up or say thank you. You reach out to that organization yourself to verify if there's something that they, legitimately need, and 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna be a case, it's gonna be a scam, so. Okay, so we're gonna open it up to questions for Cecilia.
Yes.
Where did you have
Oh, sorry.
Take care.
Okay.
The safety of using a debit card versus a credit card.
So,
I can't hear the question that
she'd asked the safety of using the debit card versus a credit card. I recommend using a credit card when traveling, because it's not, your funds and Visa also has a separate security on that to make sure that you are covered if anything happens. So that's my personal recommendation. Just making sure that you understand that you're paying that off after, because then I go to credit and my mind goes there. But because of that extra layer of protection through Visa, it is a nice thing to have when you're shopping, internationally and things like that. I think it just seems to have that, if anything happens, if my card gets skimmed, it's not my direct finances.
What about online shopping?
Online shopping, I would say, is the same thing, because it's not your direct finances. So you still have all the money in your debit card, but you know that it's okay, I'm gonna get this back, but it might take some time. Sometimes when you go in and file a dispute, it could take 1 to 2 days. And if you needed that money for something else and they, got into your account, you're kind of stuck, I know we've seen that happen, with, I think it was Meyer purchases, where they were charging 3-4 times the amount. So then it was, okay, now what do I do? So it does make it easier when you're using the credit card to be able to get your funds and still have the security of your debit card available to you.
When is it safe to use a debit card?
I mean, it's still safe. It's just if you're feeling that issue of I'm not sure, then I would use the credit card if you're feeling uncertain about it. We're at risk all the time when we use our cards everywhere we go. So, and we're becoming a more of a cashless community and society. Everyone is using a card, and I think it's coming to the point where our youth doesn't even know how to count back change anymore.
They don't.
So yeah, so it's gonna be the same no matter what. So it's your comfort level. If you're shopping internationally, if you're shopping at new stores, if you're going to like a flea market where it's small vendors, maybe you want to use that credit card. If you're shopping at bigger retailers, you might feel more comfortable using your debit card. I use my debit card everywhere I go, but I think it's just that level of I know I'm okay here, and there are certain places where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use my credit card at this smaller little shop that I've never been to before. Maybe a mom and pop store that I'm like, you're using the things on their phone where they're swiping it through. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and use my credit card just so I know that I'm okay. So it's really your comfort. Where do you feel with that level of it?
3 little things. One is that we went to one of our family members, well educated, had a garage sale, and she had all the cell phones out there. And before I could get to them, somebody bought one of them. I took the rest and said, maybe I could use these, and so we got them free. I got them home, all the kids' pictures, their emails, their everything were on them. And I thought their chip was still in it, the SD card.
Yeah.
I said to the young lady, I said, I erased all these and smashed the phones. Don't ever do that again. But I just want to caution you, because if you put a cell phone out there, all the details are in that cell phone. You get these emails or messages with phone numbers on it. Call this phone number. Google the phone number. Just put the phone number in Google, you'll find out if it's a scam or not, because they'll print out everything for you. And then I want to mention this because I went to Chase Bank on 3 Mile to do a small transaction. And there was a very elderly lady next to me, and you can't help but hear, and she was wanting to withdraw a sizable amount of money. And the teller got a little cautious, went and got a manager. The manager came in and talked to her. Why do you need this money? Well, they said I shouldn't tell you. Why am I here? And well, I have a grandson somewhere, and he said we need to go to the office and have a talk. And I thought, I'm so proud of that teller and that bank for doing that, because they stopped a scam. Because I was sitting there, I was ready to say something to her, but the manager came up and handled it in a professional way. But for your institution, if your tellers are trained for that, God, I was so proud of that bank and that thing I wanted to mention. That's really all that, I just wanted to cover the phone number,
And I wanted to touch on the phone number. If you receive a phone call from a number you don't recognize and you answer that phone call, what they then do is, even if you don't get anywhere with them or they don't get anywhere with you, is they sell your phone number to other places to now call you because you're more apt to answer that phone call. So if it's a scam likely or if it's just unknown, I let it go to voicemail. It's what voicemail's for. If it's important, they're gonna leave a message. So I don't answer any calls I don't recognize. As much as you wanna, it's like I wanna fight with them and prove them that they're wrong, it's not worth it.
One more add-on onto that. Never say the word yes.
Yeah, never say yes.
Never say the
They're
word
looking for
yes.
that, yeah.
I got one of those scam letters a couple weeks ago, and I felt so good because I was suspicious already when it said, received your order, ready to ship your such and such table, your credit card, we're charging your credit card for the $464, and then it said, if this isn't you, please call. Well, I never answered it, of course, but I thought, wow, that's, I'd already read about how skilled those people are, keeping you on the phone and finding out all kinds of things, even if you call to say, no, it's not me.
Yeah, and what they do is they put a sense of urgency behind them. So it's, need to contact us immediately for this not to be disconnected, or for, this order to continue to process, or we've already processed this order. They create that urgency for you to not stop and think, but to react. So it's so important to stop and think. And like you were saying, my sister had the situation where they called and said that her son was in jail and that they needed to send money right away, and she's calling me crying, and I'm like, hold on, and I'm like, did you really? And I'm not getting upset, and she's like, well, he wasn't answering the phone because he's at work. So it's really taking a minute to stop and think about what it is they're saying, how they're saying it, and why what they're coming at you for. So getting information, never, ever, ever give your information. Like she said, they will never, like Laura said, they will never ask for that. And we get so many alerts that look like our financial institution. MSU FCU had some going out where it looked like it was from MSU FCU, and it was not. And they were sending them to so many people, even people without an account with us. So it's, we verified this purchase, we just need you to click on the link. And of course, it's, it's fraud. So just be really careful of seeing that and that urgency that's behind it. So.
The other one is, you just won a $50 credit card or a Walmart card.
Yeah.
Call this number. Don't do that.
I always want those, but they're never real. Yeah.
Was there a question back there?
Oh, okay.
You mentioned never to click on a suspicious link. Is there a harm done by just opening the email? Because you don't know what the message is until you just click to open the email.
Usually it's when you click on the link, but my suggestion would be to hover over the address that it's sent from, and you'll see that it's not sent from what the topic is. So when you're hovering over it with your mouse, it will pop up like the actual address, and it'll have a lot of different things that don't make sense. It usually won't harm you to open the email, but at that point, I would just delete it.
And one other thing, when I would Google a suspicious phone number, most of the time you just get ads for phone, or people services or information services.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, find out that it's a legitimate number.
But if it's legitimate, they'll typically leave a message. Yeah.
But I've never, when I Google it up, it just tells you where's this number. That's all it says in it. You don't get any ads or anything. It just says where's this number located, and then you'll get all the information. Well, this 800 number is a scam or phishing or something. If you're getting something bad, you're not just the phone number. All you do is put in the phone number, 616, whatever, and it'll come up.
Okay, we're gonna go back there.
What are your thoughts on safeguarding your online payments? For example, like your utility companies, if you give them your checking account information, or should you be giving them just a credit card?
I do all of my banking, my bill payments online. They are very safe. They, in order to create that through utilities, through our payments, they have to create that safeguard and that extra layer of protection. So they are very safe and very secure, and very seldom have I seen any problems, and I've been doing all of mine for years. So because of that extra layer of protection that they have to create, same thing with like our online banking app, they have to create that same thing.
Is that the same thing for, say, like a credit card company? Do an online payment that safeguard is built in?
Yeah, they have to follow those procedures to protect your information, so.
And I would say that would kind of go along too with, the larger the organization, the more reputable the organization, the more that you can usually feel confident that it's safe. And some of these other, smaller companies, sites that you're not familiar with, those are the ones you just don't know if they have those additional layers of encryption built in, to make sure that all your information is safe.
You were talking about checking your credit score regularly. And I've been really, really guarded about my social security number. So don't you need to provide your social security number when you check your credit report?
Yeah, annualcreditreport.com is the legitimate place to check your credit report.
What is
Says who? I mean, is it a federal thing?
It is, and they have, it's a lot to even get your credit report. They ask you a lot of security questions for yourself that are not, because I do it all the time. So I monitor my credit report all the time.
Can you repeat that website, please?
Annualcreditreport.com. So they have the extra layers to make sure that you're putting in the correct information, that you are you, and that you're not just someone who found this social security number and who's going in and looking for it. There's so many security questions that go way back, and they've pulled up several information. So anytime that you purchased a car, right, that goes on your credit report. They know when, they know all of the information on that, and those are the types of questions that they are gonna ask you. So it's past information that would be on your credit report to verify you are you, and it is very secure. Now I know that Experian, I believe it was, or Equifax had that, breach where all of the information went out there, and they made it where you could pull it even more with them because of that error from them. It does happen, it can absolutely happen, but I feel Annual Credit Report does what it can to protect your information as well as, give you what you need to monitor your credit report.
So having your social security number out there isn't the issue, it's that it's being monitored by this.
I mean, your social security number is out there from when you're applying for all of these different things. So it's amazing what is out there. It's actually very scary what is out there. So when you're doing this, you're not just plugging it in and saying, give me, they're following the steps to ensure that they are giving you the correct information and to monitor it for you.
Hey, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna save any additional questions just for the end so that we can.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Title
One
in
thing
just
you
a
might wanna
moment.
consider doing is putting a hold on your credit report.
That's-
You're probably not shopping for loans all the time anymore, are you? If you are, you can switch it back on, but if it's on hold, if somebody tries to do identity theft and get a loan in your name, it stops in its tracks. So I would suggest that for your age bracket.
Do you have to renew that every year?
I don't think so.
I don't think that once you've turned it on, it stays on until you turn it off.
Correct.
No, that's great information.
I know you wanted to.
Okay.
All right, one more.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've always heard, maybe this was in the olden days, that if you checked your credit report to get a check on it, that made your credit report look bad because you checked it.
No, you're checking it, when you check your credit report yourself, you're doing what's called a soft inquiry. So there's a difference between a soft pull and a hard pull. So the soft inquiry is not gonna hurt you, which is gonna be you checking it, your insurance company checking it. But if you're doing it to take out more money to get another loan, that's a hard inquiry, and that's where it's gonna hurt your credit report.